they put it, the way they did it, and then the Pleiadians trying to trigger it, to remove it. No, it's reattuned it. Okay. I mean, my head was like a jam.
Oh man. And then after the hospital, when was the first you visited with Thor Han again, but then there was that 20-year gap, right? You had another visitation before that big gap, or was it after
Yes.
the hospital there was that gap?
Yes, I had 3 visitations. 1 with the lady and 2 with him. And the 2 visitations I was on board the ship. And I remember as well when I was on board the ship, they showed me how to pilot it. I couldn't touch anything. I wasn't allowed to touch anything, but they allowed me to sit in the chair. And because Thor Han was a pilot, and he showed me and he explained to me. And recently I asked him again when we were doing this book that he explained to me in more details how it was really working. So there are different ways of piloting a ship, and they can pilot by consciousness, by merging their frequency with the frequency of the ship. They can do it mechanically. It depends. There are so many formations.
Nice. Well, let's definitely shift gears because this is so fascinating. I'm so I've got so many questions though about what we just talked about, but just because for a timing thing, we can always do more. You mentioned that you had met Valiant Thor 2 weeks ago on the orbital ship where your friend Thor Han is working, and the encounter was quite striking. So take us into that and some of the communications that have taken place.
Yes. So as I was starting to do the channelings, people were asking me, could you connect to Valiant Thor? And I'd barely heard that name before. And I said, well, I don't know. So I asked Thor Han, do you know this guy? Is he real? And he said, oh, yes, he's real. I don't no way. So he said, I can get a contact with you if you want. I went, oh my God. So he said, he's a commander, and he's living on an outpost of the Federation on Venus. And he said, I'm going to put a request and see if he answers. And it took like maybe a month, and there wasn't any answer. And Thor Han said to me, well, maybe we give up because I know he's been a bit traumatized by being on Earth, and maybe that's it. Maybe he doesn't want to have to do anything with Earthlings, Terrans, as they call it, us. And recently, 2 weeks ago, Thor Han said, "Hey," he replied, and no, he said he contacted me telepathically, and he said, "Oh, I have a surprise for you. Do you want to come up?" And I went, what's the surprise? No, he said, someone you wanted to meet is here on board the station. And I went, oh my God, I think I get it. Okay, so the thing is, he beamed me up, but the way he did it, it beamed. So it's like dematerialization and rematerializing up there. It's like quantum, like boom, boom. It's not being by a beam, it's just disappearing in one place and appearing in the other one. And I was there, and Thor Han was with these 2 guys. So it's a little smaller than him because it's not the same race. And Thor Han is an Ahel Pleiadian. It's just tall, blonde beings with big wide eyes, and they're quite tall. And these 2 guys were like me, brown hair, brown eyes. You couldn't tell they were aliens if they were on Earth in a crowd. You couldn't. And so he introduced me to this guy, and I knew it was Valiant Thor, and I just knew it. And so, and he said, how did he say that in English? And it's funny because he spoke, his lips were moving, but in the same time, I could hear his voice in my head. That was weird. He said, very nice to meet you, Elena. My name is Commander Val Thor. And I liquefied. His aura was very, very radiant, and he was so calm. Shook my hand very nicely, and the other guy was with him. He said, "This is my brother Don." Guy was like him, a little bit taller, brown hair, and he said, "Let us go and sit and talk." I was like, "Is it really happening to me?" What? So we went to another room. It was filled with light, and there was a bit of a depression and round curved seats, and we sat there. And Torhan was putting his hand in my back just to ground me, and so he said that he didn't reply straight away because he's working a lot and he didn't pay attention, and he was on Earth. So what came in this conversation was that he came in he came in 1954, but he came a few times before already, and he was sent by the Galactic Federation to convince the leaders of Earth at the time not to make bad choices, because the Federation had contacted some leaders to warn them not to make agreement with tricky, toxic races.
So there was the visitation with the Nordics, though, that happened in 1954, yes. And then the Greys came along. But are you saying Valiant Thor was a part of that first contact with the Nordics?
No, he came after.
Okay, but he had started to visit Earth in 1954, and then
yes.
Okay, so yes. But the warning was, I mean, he was a part of that team, but he wasn't in that contact. I mean,
he was part of the project.
Gotcha.
He was part of the project.
It started with the Nordics.
Yes. Yes, the Nordics, as many know the story, which he confirmed, they were sent by the Federation, and they wanted to warn the people, the leaders, not to accept that they were about to be contacted by another races of Greys, and that they shouldn't. They were advised not to accept, because it would be a bad choice, because these didn't want the good of humanity. And he said, so the Nordic said to president at the time that that they would instead offer them, if they want, to deactivate their weapons in order and teach them how to get on with each other and make peace, and try to ease the envy and the greed between nations, giving everyone the same amount of technology and help, medical technology, free energy devices, propulsion technology, a lot of things, if they agreed with them of their assistance.
What, was Thor Han a part of this Nordic group? No. Okay, keep going.
No. So the thing is, it's been turned down. And what Valiant Thor said, well, his name is Val, in fact. Valiant is an interpretation. He said it's not his name, it's Val Thor. Okay, he said that your great-grandfather wanted to sign to go with the Nordics because he understood this was the way forward for humanity. And that Valiant Thor said that he found in your great-grandfather a man who loved children, a man who was very drawn to protecting children, and that resonated with him. And that's how he thought there was hope, because your great-grandfather was thinking about the future of the future children and the future of humanity throughout children. And there was something very important about children. And he was about to accept, because things had been going on since 1954, and it was in between agreements. And then agreements were signed behind the president's back, Valiant Thor said, by 12 men of power. And I think it's the majestic 12 he was talking about, without the consent of the president. They signed with the Greys.
So the Nordics came, and then the Greys came, and
yes,
12 men without the authorization of Eisenhower signed deals with the Greys,
yes,
and they've been blaming Eisenhower ever since.
Yes, yes. So Eisenhower was very angry and wanted to reverse, but it was too late, because these people, their ethics are very interesting. Be they the bad one or the good ones, they put ahead of everything the free will. They cannot impose a decision, even if it is assistance. If the people, the species, doesn't require assistance, they can't force it. It's about the free will. So what Val Thor told me that day, 2 weeks ago, he said, you need to request assistance, but not by putting yourself down as inferior, but by putting yourself at the same level as us. Because if you request to be freed from slavery, because that's what we're talking about, do not ask as in the position of a slave. We're not gods, we're not superior to you, we just have a different technology, more advanced, but we're people like you, just born somewhere else, different technology. We are not superior, you're not inferior. You need to be conscious of your own power, your own abilities, and request assistance equal to equal, not on your knees, but standing strong. You need to do that as much as you can all over the earth. He said, we have stopped trying to get disagreement by your leaders. We've stopped. Now we are asking the whole people, everyone, to do this.
Right. So the Nordics, it was in between, like they were, okay, what it sounds like is Eisenhower was siding with the Nordics. He wanted to bring about that kind of disclosure. And then they got a warning about the Greys, and behind Eisenhower's back, they signed this treaty with the Greys. And then the next phase of it is Val Thor then shows up.
Yes,
and he's put on VIP status for 3 years. Is that all accurate?
Yes. Okay,
yeah, tell us a little bit about that. And I don't want to miss anything. So if I kind of jumped in and you were trying to finish a thought, just go back to what
that. So he stayed 3 years. He moved 3 years. What he said that first he was coming and going, and he was visiting the president Eisenhower and his bodyguards and his people around were starting to be very nervous and annoyed that Val Thor could materialize and teleport like this. So they asked him not to do that anymore. So he moved in. That's why he moved in.
That's why he moved in. Okay.
In the Pentagon,
Right. So Eisenhower put him on VIP status at the Pentagon, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's true. But he wasn't always there. He was based there and a lot there, but he was coming and going as he wanted. Once he was in his apartments, he could dematerialize.
Right. It's just don't do it in front of us kind of thing.
Yes. And he visited as well other leaders.
Right.
In the meantime.
So yeah, tell us kind of